Some love stories never fade, no matter how many years pass. They wait in silence, hidden inside memories, until the right moment brings them back to life. Pretty Woman 2. Love Never Gets Old isn't just about romance, it's about time, choices, and the courage to believe in forever, even when forever feels impossible. The trailer begins with the camera gliding across the skyline of Los Angeles at sunset. The city is glowing in golden light, the palm trees swaying gently as the hum of life echoes below. The familiar setting instantly feels like a memory streets that once carried laughter, love, and dreams. A soft piano melody plays, each note weighted with the feeling of time. It isn't just music, it's the sound of remembering suddenly. The screen shifts to a close-up of a revolving hotel door. Figure steps inside. It is Vivian, graceful, radiant, and mature. The trailer does not need to show her face in detail. Her presence alone carries power. She is no longer the young woman we once knew. Her steps are measured, filled with confidence, yet her eyes hold questions that no amount of success or elegance can answer. A calm, steady voice speaks over the images. Once upon a time, a girl met a man, and together they made the world believe in fairy tales. But fairy tales don't end when the screen fades. Life continues, time changes, and love is tested. The music deepens as the trailer cuts to Edward older, sitting in a modern office high above the city. He stares out of the glass window, the weight of years on his shoulders. Suit is sharp, his presence commanding, but his gaze is distant, almost haunted. He has everything society admires: wealth, status, and influence, but there is a hollow silence in his expression. A quiet truth that something is missing. The camera lingers on him as the voiceover continues. He thought he could conquer the world, but conquering his own heart was the hardest challenge of all. The screen flickers between images of their separate lives. Vivian, at a charity event, speaking with warmth to young women who remind her of her past. Edward sitting alone at a long dinner table, a glass of wine untouched in front of him. Vivian laughing at a memory when no one is watching, her smile fading almost instantly. Edward flipping through old photos, pausing at one of her, his hand trembling slightly before he sets it aside. The piano melody merges with soft strings, bringing a wave of nostalgia. Then, in a subtle but powerful moment, the trailer flashes. Back brief shots from their younger days, iconic moments replayed as if pulled from memory. The jewelry box snapping shut, the red dress. The limousine ride all flicker for just a second before disappearing into the present. The narration grows softer. It was never just a story. It was a beginning, and sometimes beginnings wait for their time to return. The section closes with a powerful visual. Vivian standing on a balcony, the Los Angeles skyline stretching before her. Her hand rests on the railing as if reaching for something far away. At the same time, Edward stands at his window in the Hyries, gazing out in the same direction. They are apart, yet somehow connected, their lives running parallel. It's their hearts waiting for the same answer. The music holds, then fades to silence. On-screen text appears, bold and glowing. Julia Roberts returns. Asterisk, the trailer moves from silence into the sound of rain hitting glass. The city looks different now. Its lights blur through raindrops on a window, giving everything a dreamlike haze. The camera pans slowly to Edward, seated at the head of a long boardroom table. Around him, young executives talk fast, their voices sharp and filled with ambition. He listens, but does not speak. His hands are folded, his jaw tight, his eyes distant. He looks powerful, but the room feels colder with him in it. As though the years of business victories have left behind nothing but echoes, the music shifts to a low hum pulsing like a heartbeat. Across town, Vivian steps out of a sleek, black car. Photographers shout her name, camera flashes light her path, and yet she doesn't bask in it. She smiles politely, then looks away, her face softening the moment she turns from the crowd. Inside the charity gala, she moves with grace, yet her eyes wander. Her world sparkles, but it doesn't shine. A voice speaks, deep and steady. They found love once, against all odds. But time changes everything. The world changes. And sometimes, the heart is left behind. The images grow heavier. Vivian takes the stage at her foundation gala. She speaks about hope, second chances, and how no one should be defined by where they started. The audience applauds, but as she steps down, her smile fades into something weary. She pauses in the hallway, staring at herself in a mirror, her reflection almost asking a question she doesn't want to answer. Cut to Edward, standing in his office late at night. The lights of Los Angeles burn bright outside, but his desk is dark. He holds a photo frame, the glass reflecting his face. There is no photo inside, only the faint shimmer of memory. He sets it down with a sigh, as though the emptiness inside the frame matches the emptiness in him. The tension deepens with quicker cuts. Vivian, in a hotel corridor, stopping at a door she cannot open. Edward watching couples laugh at a restaurant window, his expression heavy with regret. Vivian brushing her hair back as she fights back quiet tears, alone in her room. Edward gripping the steering wheel of his car in the rain, as though he is running from something he can't escape. The music builds into a haunting mix of strings and piano, then falls silent just long enough for a single whisper of dialogue to echo. Edward, I let you go once. Maybe that was my biggest mistake. The camera cuts to Vivian, her face lit only by the glow of city lights outside her window. Her reply is quiet, almost breaking. We're not the same people anymore. The trailer holds on her words as the sound of thunder rolls across the screen. Then, in one sweeping shot, we see them together in the same ballroom. The world around them blurs, voices vanish, and for a moment, it's just their eyes meeting across the room. They do not smile. They do not move. The years between them weigh heavy, filling the space with everything unsaid. The pace quickens, images cut like flashes of memory and emotion colliding. Vivian slamming a door closed, her eyes burning with hurt. Edward raising his voice in a boardroom, anger spilling from years of silence. Vivian clutching a necklace from her past, her hand shaking as if it holds more than jewelry, it holds the weight of memory. Edward standing in the rain, calling out her name, but his voice is swallowed by the storm. The tension peaks. The jewelry box appears once more. Edward opens it, but this time there is no playful snap, no laughter. It closes gently, almost sadly, as if time itself has taken away the innocence of that moment. The voiceover cuts through the storm. Every story has its shadows. Every love must survive its storm. And sometimes, the hardest fight is for the heart you thought you'd already won. The section ends with a powerful visual. Vivian and Edward finally standing face to face. The silence between them is louder than words. Her eyes are filled with strength, his with regret. Their breaths are heavy, their hearts beating in the same rhythm, but neither speaks. The trailer holds this tension and cuts to black. On-screen text appears in silver against the dark screen. Love is never simple. Asterisk, the rain has ended. The city of Los Angeles glistens, its streets shining as though washed clean of the past. The trailer slows into warm golden light, the kind that makes everything feel possible again. A soft guitar strum blends with strings, carrying a tone of hope. The story begins to shift. What was once heavy with doubt now leans toward the promise of renewal. Vivian is shown first. She walks down a small neighborhood street, far from red carpets and spotlights. She pauses at a corner cafe, watching families gather around tables, the sound of laughter spilling out onto the sidewalk. A gentle smile touches her face, not for anyone else, but for herself. She steps inside, orders a coffee, and as she waits, she notices a young woman sitting alone. The girl is nervous, fidgeting with a job application. Vivian sits beside her, offering a kind word. The girl looks at her with wide eyes, as though sensing a strength that comes from someone who has lived through the same struggle. Across town, Edward is walking in a park. For the first time, he looks different, not the businessman above the world, but a man within it. He watches children play, their laughter carrying through the breeze. He leans back on the bench, sighs, and reaches into his bag. Folded newspaper falls to the ground. On the front page, a picture of Vivian at her gala. His hands linger on the photo. His face softens. The music swells quietly with a spark of hope. A voiceover, tender and steady, cuts through. The years change everything, except the heart. Sometimes the world gives you a second chance. The trailer builds momentum. Their lives begin to weave together again. Edward steps into a small bookstore, only to find Vivian already there, lost in the shelves. For a second, neither speaks. Then, as if the music lifts, a modern orchestral remix of Pretty Woman, played slowly, each note like a heartbeat. Their connection deepens, not with youthful rush, but with the strength of maturity. The trailer shows them walking side by side through a quiet street, their hands brushing before finally locking together. But the spark is not without shadows. A flash of tension interrupts Edward, facing a difficult decision in a boardroom. Papers slammed on the table, voices rising around him. Vivian, at a gala, whispers behind her back, questioning if she truly belongs. The stakes remain real, but unlike before, neither of them runs. They face the storm together. Vivian's voice overlays these moments. Love isn't about where you start. It's about what you fight for, even when the world tells you to let go. The montage grows brighter, Vivian twirling under string. Lights in a garden, Edward watching her with the same awe as the very first night. Edward finally walking away from a boardroom, choosing her over everything else. Vivian standing tall before critics, refusing to be defined by her past. The section closes with a rooftop shot, bathed in golden sunset. Edward and Vivian stand side by side, their hands joined, their faces turned toward the horizon. The city stretches below them, vast and alive. For the first time in the trailer, they look at peace, not because the world has changed for them, but because they have chosen to change for each other. The music holds in a warm, soaring note before cutting into silence. On-screen text fades in, glowing in gold. When love returns, it shines brighter than ever. Asterisk, the screen bursts alive with the rush of city lights at night. Cars race down wet streets, neon signs flicker, and the sound of strings builds with thunderous drums. The music doesn't simply play pulses like a heartbeat racing toward destiny. The story has shown us longing, separation, and renewal, but now it burns with urgency. The audience knows this is where everything will be decided. Edward steps out of his car into the rain. He doesn't shield himself with an umbrella. He lets the water fall, soaking his suit as he pushes forward through the busy streets. Face carries determination. He is no longer the man trapped in glass towers, hiding behind business deals. He's a man who knows what he wants, and he is ready to fight for it at the same time. Vivian stands on a stage at her foundation's grand gala. The room is filled with powerful figures, elegant gowns, and sparkling chandeliers. But her voice trembles with honesty. We all deserve a chance at love, even when the world tells us otherwise, especially then. The audience applauds, but her eyes glisten with something deeper. She is not only speaking to them, she is speaking to herself. The music rises. Quick cuts hit like lightning. Edward sprinting through a train station, searching the crowd. Vivian standing at the edge of a balcony, gripping the railing as the city lights shimmer below. Edward slamming his hand on a boardroom table, declaring, "I'm done living a life without meaning." Vivian wiping away a tear, clutching the old necklace she once thought was just a memory. Then, silence. A single whisper breaks through. Edward's voice filled with pain, but also hope. "I can't lose you again." God. The screen cuts to Vivian. Her face is lit by soft candlelight, her voice almost a breath. Then don't. The trailer erupts into a breathtaking montage. The music soaring into its peak. Edward pulling Vivian close in the pouring rain, shielding her even as water streams down his face. Vivian defending the young women at her foundation, proving she will never let anyone feel unworthy of love. Edward walking away from everything he built, contracts, money, power, choosing instead to stand by her side. Vivian in a silver gown, stepping into a ballroom, every head turning, but her eyes only searching for him, their hands meeting, clasping tight. as if promising to never let go again. The montage flashes with both passion and tenderness. Laughter over burned toast, quiet dances under string lights, tears wiped away by gentle hands. And finally, two people who have carried the weight of years finding peace in each other. The music climbs higher, then cuts into silence. On-screen text fades slowly into view. Some fairy tales never end. The silence holds, then a soft orchestral note returns as the words shift. They only begin again. The final image is simple, yet unforgettable. Vivian and Edward standing together on a rooftop at night, the city alive beneath them. He wraps his arm around her. She leans into him, and for a moment, time seems to stop. The camera pulls back, making them small against the endless glow of Los Angeles. But their love shines brighter than all the lights below. A soft laugh echoes Vivian's iconic laugh before the screen. Fades to black. On-screen text in bold golden letters. Julia. Roberts Richard Gere. Pretty Woman 2. Love Never Gets Old. Coming 2026.